What's up, guys? Welcome to the Red Tape Podcast. I'm your host, Demerious Nelson. This is brought to you by For the One Media, where we move progressively forward in a conservative way. For the One Media. Check us out. Hey, today we're going to talk about leadership again. We're definitely going to talk about, specifically speaking, like the ocean, we're going to discuss communication, how important it is to be a great communicator as a leader. So y'all stay tuned. All right, my good people, what's going on? You know, one thing that I really love about sports is the fact that they're able to communicate with one another. You have people that's willing to follow the other person, and it's all because of preparation. You know, I know we're talking about servant leadership and today specifically communication, but all those factors that go into people following you is all because of how you walk, because of how you prepare. It's because what you do day in and day out that have people watching what you're doing, willing to follow how you move because of what you do every single day. That's a great thing about the military. That's a great thing about sports. That's a great thing about great leaders is that you see them come to pass because the actions and words all line up. And even more important than actions and words, the preparation to get to that point is so good. It's unique. And that's why I always love Bill Belichick, and I know he's hard for the Patriots, but his preparation, his attention to detail, and all those great things that go into Sunday is what make them great. Sunday, they get to do what they prepare for all week, what he's been preparing for all of his life. And I think that's a great thing that you need to take away from communication. Number one, you have to have the willingness to pay attention to the small details. You have to be willing to ask the questions to the things you might not understand. And you also have to be able to accept your deficiencies. Sometimes when we communicate, we do have deficiencies in the way we communicate. We do have things that, hey, you look at a team, there's always a flaw in the team. But the greatest leaders, they don't mask the flaws. They try to get the best out of the flaw. And now what I'm saying by that is when you have a flaw, you try to strengthen that thing the best you can. It may be something that you always deal with your whole life. But sometimes that is the greatest part of teams. That's the greatest part of the person is that they defy all the odds and they do the thing and to beat the odds that they were given in life, or the ailment that they may have, or they might not be the brightest person out there, and it's okay. But because of their will and their drive, they still succeed. They might not have book sense, but they have street smarts. You know, there's a lot of different ways. And then when you're trying to be a leader, when you're trying to be an effective communicator, you have to be able to understand and see these things in people. You have to be able to relate. And then when you can't relate, you got to be able to ask those questions so you can try to find some common ground so you can be relatable, because nobody wants to follow any leader that they cannot relate to. You don't want to read a book about them. You don't even want to watch movies. Oftentimes, people watch movies because it's something that they can relate to. A lot of people cling to books because it's something that they can relate to. A lot of people cling to other people because it's something that they relate to. Now, I hate the word tribe, but sometimes you do see it in certain areas. Now, I just hope we break away from that. Great leaders, you got to be able to have people who are diverse. And that's one thing I have to say about the Patriots. These players are interchangeable. They can all play all different types of positions. That's what makes the New England Patriots so special as a team, if we're just looking at football. Because they're interchangeable, they always are prepared for when it's their time. They never just sitting over there wondering about, will I ever get in? Because the coach, Bill Belichick, has communicated effectively in a way that even down to the man who may be third string, fourth string, they know they're going to have an opportunity because of who they play for. But that comes with great preparation and a great communicator. It also comes with what you see. Now, we can talk and talk and talk and talk, but in order for things to work, people have to see the communication happen, but they also have to see the action that comes with it. So people believe in the system or the Patriots way, if we're just looking at football. People believe in what the Spurs do because of what they have seen done over and over and over and over and over again. That's the same thing with communication. In communication, you have to with your kids. With your kids, every single day you have to say the same thing over and over and over and over again to get them to understand how real it is. And they may not get it until they're 25. But as long as they get it, that's what matters. It's just like you have an infant or a toddler. You have to just keep saying the same thing because they may not understand it yet. So attention to detail for them, well, for you matters, but for them, they're like, it's whatever. So when you're leading somebody, the things that are detailed to you, they might not be able to see it yet. So you have to understand in your communication, you have to be able to compartmentalize and understand who you're communicating with. People communicate differently. And in our communication, we have to be able and willing to accept that they are different, that people have different ways of maneuvering and listening and engaging with you. So number one for a communicator, before they ever speak a word, you have to actively listen and be aware of everything that's going on around you and the people you have with you. My Bible always say that God said, my sheep know my voice. Just like you as a leader, you should know the voice of your people and the people should know your voice as well, because it's significant. You have to know each other. That only comes with a clearly defined relationship. You have to have that relationship where you have to respect your differences, respect the things that you agree with, and learn to live so you can grow in that relationship. Because in order to be effective at communicating, I believe you have to have some sort of relationship to have people wanting to feel like you're endearing to them. Now, it doesn't have to always be a cozy feeling and anything like that. In the military, you don't have time for that. You got to do what you have to do when you have to do it, regardless of who's leading you at times, because that's just the way we are programmed. But the more, when you learn those lessons from that leader, and then you get to, on a personal level, outside of the battlefield, you get to learn that person on a more intimate level, man, that bond grows even more, because it's like this guy not only instructs well, not only teaches well, not only do all these things well, he's also living up to what he's saying he's doing. His actions and words are lining up. So it makes you follow him even more. Like, you had to follow because it's just the law of things, it's the order of the way the military works. But to see that man living a life with his family or living a life in singlehood and doing the things that are necessary to keep him efficient will make you follow him. And that makes great leaders without even actually telling you, hey, this is what you do to be a great leader. Just sometimes just by the way you walk and talk and the accent that you use can make you great. That's why some people love Michael Jordan. He talked a lot of noise. He got the most out of his people. For some people, but just from what the work ethic that he had, other people just gravitated to it. And obviously you see he's the greatest basketball player to ever live. But other ways in communication that you have to really think about is, like I said, respecting the differences. When you have differences with people, followers and leaders have to both understand that there are going to be differences. And that's actually what makes you unique. Now, you do have to be mindful of the fact that some things in life, some things in the form of, when you find out that you have differences, that they can create a conflict. And conflict is okay if it's helping y'all grow. But if it's something that you can't agree with, you either have to move on, get a different team, or you have to learn to work around the differences. Hopefully, both people will be an adult and understand how to communicate and understand how to fix those differences that you have with respect, because that's what you have to do. You're not going to always like what your leaders say. You're not going to always, followers not always going to like what you have to tell other people when you're the leader, but it's just a part of the game. Because sometimes when you're leading people like a family, sometimes the man may know what's best for that moment. Other times it may be the woman that knows what's best for that moment. And you have to just go with it because they may have more experience than you. So I respect you. I respect our differences, but I'm going to listen to you because you have more knowledge in this certain area. That's one thing, like I said yesterday, you got to have humility when you are leading people. You have to be willing to serve. You can't serve people if you're not humble, because being humble is a part of serving. Even when you're leading, no, everybody doesn't have to know that you lead. And that's one thing that's great that I've seen watching that show, The Boss, The Undercover Boss, is that the undercover boss get to see what the people deal with. Oh, those great leaders that are willing to come down to the lowest level and talk. Not always have to sit up top and meeting after meeting after meeting, but come down to where the people are, where the real work is being done, and decide to communicate and sit with them. That's amazing what it does to those people. When you end up in that situation, what it can do for your people is everything. Just like when you get on the floor, I'm not comparing adults to kids, but when you get on the floor with your kids and you're on their level and you're on the floor rolling around doing all those things, man, that bond, it grows even more because now we can relate because you come down to my level. Now you can see my pains and I can see your pains because we eye to eye, laying down, talking to each other on the same level. Now we might have different capacities of the way we think or different IQ levels, but none of that matters when we can get down eye to eye and work on the same level to try to achieve the same goals. And then the leader is able to give their goals to the people below them because he's understanding that he's actively listening to what they need, but he's also speaking in a way that's detailed enough so he can push the message that matters. And the first thing that people want to know, are you with me? Are you with me or are you just about getting what you need? Do what's going on with my life matter to you? That's what most people want to know. It's like a woman. A woman want to know, is this man just going to watch football all day or is he going to cater to my needs? A man want to know, is this woman just going to complain or is she going to understand that I have things that I need to get done as well? Is she going to support me? Are we going to support one another? Is my boss at work going to support what I need? You know, when you have that boss that's going to support you at all costs as long as you're doing your job 100%, it make you go 100%. It makes you go even harder in what you're doing because you want to do the best you can. Now, for most of us, especially for people that I know, they're going to do the best that they can because that's just their personality. And thank God for that because you have people that just do whatever and don't put their all into it. But then when you're doing all these things, like I've said before, and your actions and your communication line up and your attention to detail, and then people see that because you're so detailed that you kept things from happening, man, they end up following you even more and want to know what it is that you do that makes you successful in this area of your life. Now you're able to replicate and duplicate that same thing for the next person. That's how McDonald's were able to become a chain because they were able to do the same thing over again. Any great leader should be able to duplicate what he does because guess what? It becomes repetitive. It becomes consistent. That's the same thing in communication. You have to get to a place of consistency. And know that not all the time you're going to be right in the way that you communicate. Knowing that all the time that you're not going to have all the answers in the way you communicate is going to make you a better communicator because you have to be able to take what the people are saying and implement that into what you are trying to convey to them. Because you could have the vision, but if you're not able to communicate the vision, then it's just that. It's a dream that you just had. And that's what you got to remember when you're serving other people and you're trying to relay the vision to other people and then giving the vision out. If you're not able to make it relatable for where they are in that moment, then wait, rethink it, listen some more. And then later when you think they're ready to capture that vision, you give it to them. Now, one thing, leaders, when you have a vision, one thing for anybody who has a vision for the family, for themselves, you have to compartmentalize every single thing. That's why detail matters, because the more detail you have, the better instruction you can give so they can get to where they're going. There's nothing worse than when you're driving down the road and somebody communicating with you and they're like, yeah, you go up here, take a right. Look, I know it's a big, look for this sign right here. Look, now when you get to the right, make that left. Then you're going to make this big U-turn. All right, you can go by 500 feet. You need somebody that's going to say, look, make a left on Jefferson. When you get to Jefferson, 2 stoplights after that, make a right at that light. You go 2 more lights, and that second light is called Darnold Street. And then if you look to your left, you'll see there's a landmark there. All right, it's a guy in a statue. I'm like, all right, he led you right to where you need to go. Any great leader should have an even greater roadmap. And a greater roadmap, especially when you're trying to lead people in companies, especially when you're trying to lead your family, because nobody wants to be left in the blind, knowing what's going on, don't know what we're doing. Even in the military, we want to go out there with a plan. All right, guys, charge. What are we charging? You know what I'm saying? If it came down to that. It's not like that much anymore, but if it came down to that, it's like, what are we doing? Anybody know? I don't know, but it just sounds good. Leaders, we can't be so focused on motivating people that we have no substance to what we're doing. Because some people get so caught up in the motivation, getting that adrenaline rush, and they never really giving good instructions. They never really teaching anything. They never really communicate. They're communicating enough to get you up, to get you moving, just up and down. But what's going to help you go forward? What's going to help you to actually accomplish the goal, the mission? It's the great communication. And that's why you got to ask those questions. You got to really ask those questions. So that's just a few things that I have. And I definitely can talk about this all night. But there's just a few things in being an effective leader that you got to have. And most important thing in communicating for me is ask questions. People always say I ask 21 questions. I ask 1,000 questions if you allow me to, because I really want to learn. I really want to get to know people. I really want to be able to help those who are in need. And just because I'm talking to you don't mean you're in need, but I want to be able to hear what you have to say so I know how to help someone else that may have that same issue or something similar to that, because we're all about creating better people. When I listen to you, you make me better. When you listen to me, hopefully I can make you better. When we listen to each other, we can both sharpen each other, because that's what it's about, sharpening iron. Iron sharpens iron. So we got to continue to be strong, continue to grow, guys. Hey, this is a Red Tape Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Demerious Nelson. I hope this helped y'all today. If it didn't, hey, just pray that something that I say one day, 1 century will help you. All right. Hey, guys, y'all stay tuned. Make sure y'all check out the Red Tape Podcast. Like it, subscribe to it at Apple Podcasts, Spotify. That's all we asking, man, every day. Like it, subscribe to it. Let's keep growing. Let's keep growing, all right? Please, let's keep growing. Hey, when you get on there, make sure you rate it 5 stars too, Jack. Anyways, hey, y'all have a good one. Peace.